December 2001. A quiet beach in Waldport, Oregon. The kind of place where people go to clear their minds. Cold air, grey skies, waves crashing against the shore. Nothing ever really happens there. But that morning, a man walking alone notices something floating near the waterline. At first, he thinks it's driftwood. Then he gets closer and realizes it's the body of a little boy. Not older than 4, perfectly groomed, fingernails clipped, hair neatly cut, wearing only underwear. And what gets investigators immediately is that no one is looking for him. No frantic parents. No missing child reports. Nothing. It's like this little boy appeared out of nowhere. But within days, police would uncover something even darker. A mother stuffed into a suitcase. A baby murdered. An entire family erased. What happened to the Longo family? This is the story of the Suitcase Murders. Welcome to the podcast you can't unhear. The family looked normal from the outside. Christian Longo and his wife, Mary Jane, were young parents raising 3 children, Zachary, Sadie, and baby Madison. They were religious, quiet, conservative, the type of family people would describe as sweet or humble. But underneath that image, everything was falling apart. And I think this is what people miss about cases like this. A lot of family annihilators don't start as monsters in the public eye. They start as people obsessed with appearances. Christian Longo cared deeply about how people saw him. Successful husband, responsible father, business owner, good Christian man. But almost all of it was fake. Long before the murders, Christian already had a history of lying and manipulation. He defrauded his own parents. He forged checks. He constantly made up stories to maintain this illusion that he was successful. And financially, he was drowning. His construction business in Michigan was collapsing. Bills were piling up. Debt kept growing. He was writing fraudulent checks just to keep the image alive a little longer. Because for people like Christian, embarrassment feels unbearable. Not sadness, not guilt, humiliation. That's the emotion sitting underneath a lot of these cases. He didn't want people to know he failed. So in September 2001, Christian suddenly moved the family across the country to Newport, Oregon, promising everyone this was going to be a fresh start. New town, new beginning, new lies. And for a little while, it worked. The family rented an oceanfront condo. Christian bounced between jobs. They tried to act normal, but the reality was getting worse. Money was running out fast. Collectors were catching up to him. And the carefully constructed image he spent years building was about to collapse. Then came December 2001, the holiday season. A time when most families are together. But around the Longo family, something felt off. Christian was acting strange, emotional, distant. One babysitter later remembered him returning from a date night with red, swollen eyes like he'd been crying for hours. A few days later, he casually told people Mary Jane had left him and taken the children. That alone was odd, because Mary Jane was deeply devoted to her children. Everyone around them knew that. She wasn't the type to disappear overnight. Then, on December 19th, the body of little Zachary washes ashore. Investigators initially don't know who he is. Detectives Dennis Bosk and Trish Miller respond first. Soon the FBI joins the case because they fear a child abduction. and you can imagine the pressure. A dead child with no identity, no leads, no family coming forward. The entire community starts panicking. Parents become terrified. Rumors spread everywhere. People start sleeping with guns beside their beds because they think there's some predator roaming around Newport. Then finally, someone watching the local news recognizes the sketch. The little boy is identified as 4-year-old Zachary Longo. Police rush to the family's condo. Empty. No signs of struggle. No signs of forced entry. It looked like the family had simply walked out. But then divers searching the water make another discovery. A second child's body. 3-year-old Sadie, wrapped in a sleeping bag, weighted down with rocks tied to her ankle. At that point, investigators realize this isn't a disappearance anymore. This is murder. And not just murder. This is someone trying to erase an entire family. Honestly, the details here are horrifying because of how deliberate they are. This wasn't rage in one moment. This wasn't impulsive violence. This was calculated. Sleeping bags, rocks, disposal sites. Someone was thinking step by step. And then investigators discover the worst part. Near the Longo's condominium docks, divers locate 2 suitcases underwater. Hair is sticking out from one zipper. Inside are the bodies of Mary Jane and baby Madison, both strangled, stuffed into luggage. And investigators are deeply disturbed by one detail. Mary Jane's body had been stripped naked before being placed inside the suitcase. For Detective Trish Miller, this case became overwhelming emotionally. He later admitted it was the first time in his career that he completely broke down crying. Because these weren't random killings. This was a family destroyed from the inside. Now, only one family member is missing, Christian Longo. And suddenly, everything changes. The investigation shifts from missing father to wanted killer. As FBI agents dig deeper into Christian's past, the lies begin stacking up fast. Bad checks, fraud, stolen identities, manipulation everywhere. And what's chilling is how ordinary he appeared. That's another thing people misunderstand about dangerous individuals. Most don't look dangerous. They look friendly, calm, helpful. Christian wasn't some isolated drifter living in darkness. He blended in perfectly. Meanwhile, the FBI launches a nationwide manhunt. Then they get a break. Christian applies for a job at a Starbucks in San Francisco using fake information, but accidentally uses the name of a former employer as a reference. That mistake exposes him. Authorities discover he's actually fled to Mexico. And this part almost sounds unreal. While his wife and children were dead, Christian was partying, drinking, and pretending to be a single guy named Michael Finkel. Like nothing happened. That level of compartmentalization is unbelievable. Imagine murdering your entire family, then sitting on a beach flirting with strangers days later. I can't comprehend with that. Eventually, authorities track him down to Cancun. He's arrested and extradited back to Oregon. At first, Christian denies everything. But years later, during interviews from jail, he finally admits the truth. He killed his entire family because he was financially ruined and couldn't face the humiliation of failure. Not because they abused him. Not because they threatened him. Because he didn't want them to witness him collapsing. And that's what makes this case especially disturbing. To Christian, murder became easier than honesty. Think about that. Admitting I failed felt worse to him than killing the people who loved him most.
That psychology shows up in a lot of family annihilator cases.
The family becomes part of the image, and when the image falls apart, the family is destroyed with it. It's deeply narcissistic in a very dark way. Because even in death, the decision is still centered around him. His shame, his fear, his reputation, not their lives. The prosecution built a devastating case. Financial records showed Christian was drowning in debt. Witnesses described his constant lies and manipulative behavior. Investigators mapped out how he disposed of the bodies and fled the country immediately afterward. And once authorities reconstructed the timeline, it became impossible to ignore. Christian murdered Zachary and Sadie by throwing them into the water, weighted down with rocks. Mary Jane and baby Madison were strangled and stuffed into suitcases before being dumped into the bay. The sheer coldness of it stunned investigators. At trial, prosecutors argued this was a calculated family annihilation motivated by ego, financial collapse, and desperation to avoid public humiliation. Christian Longo was convicted and sentenced to death. Today, he remains on death row in Oregon awaiting execution. What stays with me most about this case isn't just the violence. It's how normal everything looked right before it happened. That's the scary part. Sometimes people think dangerous lives look chaotic from the outside, but a lot of the time they look completely ordinary until the very end. We've seen this pattern from so many stories. Family photos, smiles, church, kids, vacations. Meanwhile, underneath, someone is psychologically collapsing. And I think this case also says something uncomfortable about pride. Not healthy pride. The toxic kind. The kind where someone would rather destroy everything than admit they failed. Christian Longo could have declared bankruptcy, could have gotten divorced, could have gone to jail for fraud. But instead, he chose annihilation, because preserving his image mattered more than preserving human life. And for the investigators, this case never really left them. You can hear it in interviews years later, especially when they talk about the children. Zachary, Sadie, baby Madison, kids who trusted the person who killed them. That's what makes family murder cases hit differently. Home is supposed to be the safest place in the world, but sometimes the danger is already inside the house. And by the time everyone sees it, it's too late. Stay safe out there, guys. Take care of yourself and your family. See you on the next episode of the podcast You Can't Unhear.